So let's talk about something huge in weight management. How in the world do you quiet down those constant cravings? Today, we're going to dig into the science behind a super important hormone called GLP-1, and we'll break down a nutritional strategy that's all about working with your body. It's called the YGY GLP-1 30-day system. But first, let's kick things off with a question that honestly probably hits home for a lot of us. Why does trying to lose weight feel like such an impossible uphill battle? I mean, you've got the motivation, you've got the plan, but it still feels like you're literally fighting your own body every step of the way. Well, it turns out it's not just in your head. It's not about a lack of willpower. Your body is biologically hardwired to fight back against weight loss. The moment you start cutting calories, your metabolism can hit the brakes and your brain starts screaming for more food with intense cravings. So yeah, that feeling of an internal war, it is very, very real. And you know what? That internal battle actually has a name. It's called food noise. Just think of it like constant static in your brain. That little voice that's always thinking about the next meal, the random cravings that pop up, the old habits that are just so hard to break. It's this noise that can totally derail even the most perfect plans. Okay, so that's the problem. But what if your body also had a built-in ally in this fight? Let's talk about GLP-1. This is a hormone your body produces all on its own, and it plays an absolutely crucial role in managing your appetite. So, how does this ally actually work? Well, it's pretty cool. When you eat, your body releases GLP-1. It then travels up to your brain and basically sends a message that says, hey, we're good down here, we're getting full. That signal is what helps turn down the volume on all that food noise, acting like your body's own natural off switch for hunger. Now, this whole GLP-1 thing is getting a ton of attention right now, and there are two very different ways people are trying to harness its power. On one side, you have powerful pharmaceutical drugs, and on the other, you have a targeted nutritional system. Let's really break down the difference between the two. And right here is the biggest difference in how they work. The sources explain that GLP-1 drugs are what you call agonists. Now, think of an agonist like a master key. It's not your body's original key, but it's designed to fit the lock perfectly and force it open. These drugs go in and directly hit your GLP-1 receptors. The nutritional system, on the other hand, is trying to be more like a locksmith, giving your body the tools it needs to make more of its own natural keys. And this slide, this highlights a massive difference in timing. Your body's natural GLP-1 signal is super quick. It does its job for maybe a minute or two, and then it's gone. But according to the sources, the drug approach keeps that I'm full switch flipped on, not for a couple of minutes, but for 5 to 7 days. That is a completely different level of intensity. Now, that sustained long-term activation is what makes these drugs so effective, for sure. But it's also what has started a much bigger conversation about potential side effects. The sources we looked at mentioned concerns some users have brought up, like major digestive issues or muscle loss. And it's exactly this conversation that's making people look for alternative, nutritional ways to support GLP-1. So, with all that as context, let's pivot and take a closer look at this nutritional approach. This specific 30-day system is built on 3 separate parts that are all designed to work together. So here it is, the whole system. As you can see, it's all about these 3 products. And I kind of like the names, Elevate, Activate, and Regulate. Each one has a very specific job to do in this whole strategy. So let's break down what each one actually does. First up, we've got Elevate. This is a daily shot, and its main goal is right there in the name, to give your body the key nutrients it needs to elevate its own natural production of GLP-1. The whole idea with Elevate is to help you feel fuller, faster, and turn down that food noise. A key part of it is something called postbiotics. So if you think of probiotics as the little factory workers in your gut, postbiotics are the amazing things those workers make. They're the finished product, and they do a ton of the heavy lifting for your gut health. In fact, the source material says that the ingredients in Elevate have been shown in studies to help the body increase its natural GLP-1 levels by almost 3 times. All right, so that's part 1. Part 2 is the activator, or Activate. Now, if Elevate is all about making more GLP-1, Activate is all about protecting it. This is where the synergy really kicks in. Remember how we said your natural GLP-1 only lasts for a minute or 2? That's because your body has these enzymes that break it down really fast. Well, Activate has ingredients like L-arginine and resveratrol, which the source says basically act like bodyguards for your GLP-1, helping to protect it so that feeling of fullness can last longer. And that brings us to the third and final piece of the puzzle, the fiber, which is called Regulate. This part of the system offers support in a more, let's say, physical way. Fiber is just a powerhouse. First, it adds physical bulk in your stomach, which helps send another one of those I'm full signals to your brain. Second, it kind of acts like a gentle scrub brush for your digestive tract. And third, this is a prebiotic fiber, which means it's the food that feeds all those good probiotics in your gut, supporting your overall health from the inside out. Okay, so we've got the three parts, one to boost, one to protect, and one to support. But how does it all come together? Let's look at the actual 30-day plan. The whole thing is designed in phases. You kick things off with 10 days of the Elevate shot right before your biggest meal to really get your body's natural production going. Then for the next 20 days, you switch over to the Activate packet to help protect and maintain those levels. And through it all, for all 30 days, that Regulate fiber is your daily constant, giving you that foundational support for fullness and gut health. Now, on top of those products, the system also emphasizes two really simple but critical habits. First is getting enough protein. This is so important for keeping muscle while you lose weight, and it also helps you feel full. The second is hydration, just drinking enough water. This is always important, but it's especially key for letting that fiber do its job right. It really all comes back to this one simple idea. A quote from the source material puts it perfectly. If you can conquer those cravings, if you can quiet the food noise, that's more than half the battle in weight management. It's a great reminder that this is about more than just counting calories. It's about managing those internal signals that drive how we eat. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. What if the real key to managing our weight isn't just about the food we put on our plate, but about the noise inside our heads? What if the whole goal is just to find a way to turn down the volume? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this one.